Everybody, and it is another day in paradise in beautiful Las Vegas. Let's get to the stats because I have some videos I want to show you today of Gary Vee talking to a group of brokers and realtors, and I want you to hear what he has to say. And then he's also got a little short that I want to play, and I'll talk about it after I play it. What's going on? We're selling 117 homes a day. That's fantastic. I was waiting for those triple digits, and they're finally happening. So that's fantastic. 117 sales a day so far this month. Last year we were doing 167, but we know that was a crazy time. We have 4,870 available listings. And that includes high rises, condos, single family, and townhomes. Now, the single family homes are 3,594 availables. They're not under contract. They're not pending. They're totally available. And of those, we have 940 that are 430,000 and under, which is right now our median price. And it has held strong, which means we have a great market. And we're not necessarily like the majority of the rest of the country. We just listed 18 homes under, 430,000 and under over the weekend, which is terrific. So our percentage of active single family medium price homes and under is 26% of the available 4,870 homes. So 26% is 26% of the available market right now. And that's a wonderful thing, Other things that are going on, let's see. Look at this, the $1 million homes, they keep inching up. They're now 3.53 sales per day of the $1 million plus homes. We have sold $434 million plus homes so far this year, which is phenomenal because we're getting back up there. Now in 2020, we only sold 2 per day. In 2021, we sold 4.5 a day. Last year, we sold 4.2 a day. And now we're doing 3.53 a day. And I think it's going to hit 4. That's my prediction because they've got more listings. Yeah, we've got more listings. So more $1 million home buyers are considering buying. Maybe they're downsizing. Maybe they're moving up. Maybe they've got a traditional home and they want an ultra modern home. And they are listing their homes. What else is remarkable? The investors and the non-owner occupieds are buying about 22 homes a day, and that's about 26% of the solds. That is pretty good. Now, what I've done for you is, like I said, I have broken these charts up so that if you want to just print the $1 million sales chart, you can do that. If you just want to print the daily recap of what's going on in Las Vegas, you can do that. And if you just want to, let's see. That was it. I did those 3. Yeah. And so I want to also tell you that we are having a class on Thursday, and this class is ethics, and it counts for what NAR wants you to do for your ethics requirements. And Jimmy Degg is teaching it. It's called Show Me the Money. It's a really great class. It's about procuring cause, which we've all, perhaps a lot of us have been involved in situations like that. So anyway, that is one great class. And so that's the stats for the day. I want to move on today. So I did all that in 4 minutes. Amazing. So let's do this. Let's do the short. So Gary Vee did this short. I think I have to. They've changed the format, of course. There, want to do it this way. So we're all getting older. A lot of the agents today are younger agents that are coming into the market. But a lot of us, we've been in this market years, and we're 50 and older, let's say. I know I'm 3/4 of a century. There's some out there that are half a century, and then there's that in between. Anyway, so Gary Vee wants to talk about when you are 90 years old. Now, this is, I think I repeat part of it because I think it has an impact. and then we'll talk about it.
You are 90. You rarely talk about what you did. You always talk about what you didn't do. If you are lucky enough, and if one of you get inspired to spend just a little time, 6 hours, 10 hours this year, with a 75 to 90-year-old that you don't know, and you listen, and you talk, what she or he will talk about is what they didn't do. I should have married Ricky Thompson. I wish, and this is a big one, I wish I did something different in my career. The thing that impacted me as a workaholic and someone who's really ambitious, I wish I spent more time with my kids. That hit me hard. You were not born for a long time, and you're gonna be dead forever. The moments we have here are small. I ask all of you, whether you're in the first quarter or entering the fourth quarter or anywhere in between, it's never too late to get better. It's never too late to fight for more happiness, ever. When you are not.
Okay, all right, now, I like that because Gary Vee for years has talked about having no regrets, and this is the first time I've ever heard him say that he had a regret. So I like that part of it, but what I really like about it is that you've got to live every day. You've got to just embrace the day. And I say to people, be grateful and be happy. When you think about being grateful first, how difficult is it to be happy? I mean, we have so much. We have so much, and we have so much to give. And if you're in this business, you are working with people who are going to buy their dream home. They're going to live the American dream. They are going to buy the biggest investment of their life in most cases. And what a wonderful business to be in. Career, what a great vocation, what a great thing to give to people. Anyway, that's why I like that one. And that was short and sweet. It was a short that he did that I captured, and I wanted to share it with you. The other thing today we want to talk about is, I will tell you one thing here. Let me get out of here and let me hide this one and the next one. So Gary is amazing because for years, he hasn't really changed his story too much. I know the regret part. Yeah, I said that. But Gary has said, you've got to do content. You've got to do content. And I have a short that he did, or somebody did. I don't think it was him, it was somebody else. And they said, you've got to do 8 to 15 posts a day across all the platforms. And one of the key reasons why, and a lot of people don't tell you this, I think Gary says this in this video. It's short, 10, 12 minutes. I will post the longer version also if you want to listen to it. It's 55 minutes, the long version. I'll post it on our group. But in the meantime, I want you to listen to the first 13 minutes, I think it is, and see if it doesn't intrigue you to listen to the entire video. But the main thing I want to tell you is what he says in here, and I think I've captured it. We go out and we buy a Nike pair of shoes or a purse made by Michael Kors or whatever. We buy those because, not because somebody sold them to us necessarily, but because of the brand. So that's one of the messages here that you need to listen to. You have to establish your brand. Once you establish your brand, people will buy from you. They will hear you, because what it takes to establish brand is consistency, repetition, and posting on all the social media platforms. So let's listen. I'm going to turn my mic off.
On your phone right now is a better camera than Hollywood was using 20 years ago. The camera is not your problem. The finding the employee to post for you is not your problem. I promise you this. The problem is the macro. You're scared to post because you're worried about what other people think. You're worried what your buddy thinks about you doing it. You're worried about somebody saying you don't look good. You're worried about that your makeup's not right, that your muscles aren't good, that your face isn't right, that you are scared. Fear is the biggest way to not make money. Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Lots to talk about. Very excited about getting into the Q&A and really answering a lot of the questions in this audience. But I will frame up my conversation in the macro and the micro of what I see is the opportunity for most people in this room. And when I say macro, micro, what I'm referring to is you've had the luxury to hear Ryan speak, and I didn't get the luxury of catching the talk, but watching him build his brand over the last half decade and interacting with him quite a bit in New York. If he was talking about building personal brand, that's obviously incredibly important, but clearly he had a very different path than the majority of this room, because 99.9% of this room is not going to end up on a hit television show at the height of cable consumption for a decade to get that level of awareness. The majority of you would have to go down the path that I've gone through over the last 15 years, which is creating your own creative and content and using the free distribution of social media to build that brand. And I'm going to go into that a little bit, because the most interesting part for me being in social media creative for the last 17 years is how much it's changed in the last 24 months and what that means for everyone here. To give you the cliff notes and the preview, for 2006 to 2009, there was an incredible land grab of attention with early Facebook and Twitter that I and others took advantage of. That got harder as the world started to figure it out. Over the last 24 months, over the last 36 months, the TikTokification of every social media platform has changed everything. There are literally people in this room who've never produced content for social media that can next week make a single video and start a completely different path of growth in their career. And that's pretty remarkable. That hasn't been the case for the last 10 plus years. And that's something every single person in this room needs to take very seriously. But we'll go to that in a minute. That to me is the micro. The micro is, how do you make content? Like, what kind of content? Which platforms should you be producing for? What content works on which platform? That's the micro. The macro that I want to talk to everybody about in this room is, none of you have a chance of succeeding in the biggest opportunity you have, which is building your own brand and leveraging that against your ambitions, if you don't have the macro pieces in place. The macro pieces in place are strictly mindset and perspective, strictly. The reality of how life works, everyone's ambition here, business-wise, is completely dictated by what's going on inside of them emotionally. There's no chance you're going to work hard enough, produce good enough content, or anything else that's required to achieve what you want unless you're in a good place. It's as simple as that. I've done this for a very, very long time, and the reality is it's not sustainable unless you've got solid foundation. It's no different than building a home. The things you all sell, it doesn't matter how well you decorate the living room or how nice the color of the paint is in the master bedroom, right? If you do not have steel and concrete that holds up the building. The steel and concrete for every single human here is their emotional stability and what they actually feel. And so the thing that I've been fascinated by was, I didn't realize why all my businesses were working in my 20s and 30s until I went a little further on my journey. I am the byproduct of incredible mothering. I am lucky that I had a world-class mother who built accountability and self-esteem in me, which made me completely capable of doing everything that I've wanted to do in my business career. Not everybody is as lucky as I am with the luck of the draw of who their mother or father or circumstances were. I was lucky that I was born in the Soviet Union and came to America and we had nothing and had to grow up grinding it out, because I never was able to form entitlement because nothing ever came easy to me. These are just the circumstances of all of our lives, one way or another. But before we get into how you're gonna sell more stuff or build your business, you've gotta actually be in a place of asking yourself, are you emotionally capable? The macro. Are you emotionally capable to deal with it? Because the biggest issue, the single biggest issue is the single biggest opportunity all at the same time for the reality of this room. The biggest opportunity on earth for every broker that exists is making content on social media at scale. Period. Right now, in 2023, as we sit here in this room, there is no second option compared to the truth that is, if you sit in here and are capable of producing 15 to 25 pieces of content a day across 4 to 5 platforms a day, that the business ambitions you have will come true. The problem is, the reason most people don't produce 15 to 25 pieces of content a day is not because you have no time. If you understood that it was the single biggest reason that you would make more money, you would find time. If you understood that you would 4, 5, 10, 15, 100x your revenue or your sales or your commissions, the dollars in your bank account, you would find 2 hours a day to do it instead of having a 2-hour meeting. You would find it. The reason most people do it, or don't do it, excuse me, is because they can't deal with the emotional feedback that comes with putting yourself out there. The single reason that this room, I find it very hard to believe that this room in Q1 of 2023 does not understand that social media output is a driver of business. I don't believe there's a single person that has come to this conference that does not understand that to be true. If that's true, and if you came to this conference, I think about this all the time. Why are you even here right now? We're in the middle of the week, in the middle of the afternoon. Why would you even be here? The answer to that always for me is because you're ambitious, because you want something to happen, that you're putting in the work to make your thing be better. If that's true, that means that everybody in here is in play to execute the model that creates the growth. This is what brings me to the biggest thing that I want to talk about in this room, which is insecurity. The biggest reason 98% of this room will listen to everything I'm about to say, will do the Q&A. It has complete historical affirmation to be true, and you will leave this conference and still not do it in the face of the truth of it working, is 100% predicated on insecurity. To me, this is the biggest pandemic in the world, that many of you will not double your business this year because you are not capable of people leaving negative comments on your social media account. To me, the craziest thing when it comes to business is that people in this room will not go and figure out how to make content, not because you don't know who to hire, not because you don't know where to post, not because you don't know what to post. All of the things that are disguised when we get into the Q&A, when you're like, Gary, what platform, or who should I hire? What kind of camera should I use? The camera that is on your phone right now is a better camera than Hollywood was using 20 years ago. The camera is not your problem. The finding the employee to post for you is not your problem. The problem is the macro. I promise you this. The problem is the macro. You're scared to post because you're worried about what other people think. You're worried what your buddy thinks about you doing it. You're worried about somebody saying you don't look good. You're worried about that your makeup's not right, that your muscles aren't good, that your face isn't right, that you are scared. Fear is the biggest way to not make money. Fear is the biggest way to not achieve what you want. I find this very ironic, and I'll tell you why. The whole world is scared to post because of insecurity in comments, but I find that funny every time I talk to real estate brokers, because brokers do something that most people are scared of, which is sell. Most people are scared to sell. Most people are scared to ask for the listing. Most people are scared to sell. Most people are scared to sell. This group in this incredible arena has already crossed the chasm into an area that most people are scared to do. As a matter of fact, many of you try to encourage or you razz your friends for being scared to sell because you're not scared to sell. What's most interesting to me, though, is selling is very important. But sales never beats branding. Branding always beats sales. Sales is just bad branding. Most of you, when I look at this crowd, this is a very well-dressed, attractive, put-together crew. The amount of brands that are being worn right now by people in front of me that I can just see in the lights is very high, from handbag to tie to suit to dress. Nobody sold you those products. You went and bought them because they built brand. The biggest way for everyone here to die, and what's double important in this conversation is the following. I've spoken to brokers pretty much my whole career. I've done events of this nature around the world. But I think everybody sitting here, the stakes are double high comparison to what I've done in the past, because you're in a market post-pandemic that is one of the few flourishing markets in the entire world. You can literally be living almost everywhere else on earth, and it is less exciting than being a broker in the UAE. We need to clap that up for a second. By show of clapping loudness, how many people agree with what I just said? Please go. Should we listen? If that's true, if it is true that by the luck of God, you have found yourself in the prime of your career in a market that has ridiculous upside for looking around, probably the majority of the rest of the people's careers here, why would you not execute to maximize the opportunity?
So let's stop the video. And like I said, one of the things that I'm going to do is post the complete video. And there's a great question and answer at the end. It's 55 minutes. But one of the main things that you need to learn from this is you need to find the time to post 10 to 15 times a day. That sounds like an awesome task, but it isn't. If you do 10, let's say you do 10 30-second videos, that's 5 minutes of videos. And so what do you post? Well, it depends on how many platforms you're on. And of course, I recommend that you're on, first of all, you have to go deep on one of them. That can be Instagram, which is a tough one. I'll tell you why in a second. Facebook, which is much easier. YouTube, much easier. And LinkedIn, which is easy. So it's easy to post on LinkedIn. The problem with it, not a problem, the situation with Instagram is that unless you are going to have engaging videos and have people DM you so that you can DM them back a question to create a back and forth till they get to the point where maybe they want to buy from you or have you sell their home. So Instagram is a little bit of a different format to get business from, but it still puts you out there. And when, there's that perception that, if they see you one or two places, and then finally one day you knock on their door or they call you or whatever, and they go, oh, Linda, I see you everywhere, because they see you one or two places, or maybe three. But anyway, you've got to be on all the platforms. Now, Here's one thing that I will tell you. Agent Formula's website does a post every day. You can take that daily post, you can cut it, copy and paste it into Chat GPT. You can say, create me a script for Instagram, and then paste. It'll come back and create you that script. It'll rewrite it for Instagram, and do that for LinkedIn, do that for Facebook, and do that for YouTube. YouTube needs to be a little longer. So if you're going to get into YouTube, you have to do longer videos and then make shorts of the longer ones. That's more or less the dynamic you have to use there. Facebook, Reels. Oh my gosh, I am taking a Facebook social media certification class with Mari Smith. Kind of why I didn't, well, I'll address that in a second. Anyway, Facebook, Reels are like, people that are using it are getting responses. And of course, with Facebook, there's many ways: comments, shares, likes, direct messaging. There's so many ways that you can engage on Facebook, unlike some of the other platforms. YouTube's more difficult because if you're doing a live, that's one thing, because then you can ask them for feedback. But it has to be on YouTube. How do you find a home in Las Vegas? How do you find the value of your home in Las Vegas? So you have to do that. How do you? Because that's what most people, that's the beginning of most of the searches on YouTube. And YouTube is the second largest search engine. So you have to think about that. Anyway, listen to Gary. Understand that this is not like a huge time suck. I was listening to some Katie from Austin and Ken from Florida. They were talking today. Ken does YouTube, Katie does Instagram. They get a ton of business from those sites because they went deep on those sites, and they spend 2 hours a day answering their direct messages and or their comments. And so that's an important part of your day you have to carve out. So you have to create the content, and then you have to post it and be prepared maybe at the end of the day to answer everybody's comments and or questions they have for you. This is the year you have got to do this. And I say this every year, but it gets more compelling as the years go on. And I have been saying this since 2006 when we started producing videos. And that is the way that you're going to create your brand, and then people will find you and buy from you, or you will sell their house. That is how you're going to exist in the future. And let me tell you, 3 years ago, before COVID, not as many people were doing this. During COVID, a lot of the real estate agents buckled down and they got consistent and created engaging content. And now they're brands. And now they have 10 times their business. I talked to agents, they were making $30,000 a year. Now they're making $300,000 a year. What did they change? They changed their social media presence. Y'all be good. I will see you on Wednesday. Sorry about last week, but I forgot I had the Mari Smith social media certification class, which I do have for the next couple of weeks as well, 2 days a week. However, I also had to create a property management class with Jimmy Daig, and that took an enormous amount of time because I had a deadline, and I was out for 5 days. So anyway, it's all done, and hopefully my panic time is over and we can get back down to our regular schedule. I love you all. Trying to keep this at 30 minutes. I'm at 29 minutes and 30 seconds. So I will say goodbye. Give me a like.